Okay, Dharma brothers and sisters, please rise and put your palms together. 各位佛友请起立合掌。
阿弥阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥。
Page number 9. Nam kala ma ba mi ba la koi chan chu sen ba pa de mi be korwa ngu se yo pa ju.
In the space in front appears the Guru in the form of Amitabha, surrounded by an inconceivable retinue of bodhisattvas.
Namo Concho Sandan Zawa San Jamne Nan La Cha Sun Ji Ro Gun San Ji Lan Gu Ji Chan Chun Cho De Sim Ji To Namo Concho Sandan Zawa San Jamne Nan La Cha Sun Ji Ro Guan San Ji Lan Gu Che Chan Chun Cho De Sim Ji Do.
Namo to the three jewels and the three roots, the places of protection. I go for refuge. In order to establish all beings in Buddhahood, I give rise to the mindset on supreme awakening.
Page number 28. Hong Ran Re Nang Wan Ta Ye Ke Zun Zhen Char We Sen La De Nang Wan Ta Ye Lo Na Me Ran Re Chu Go Ngon Char Ji.
Hong, innate awareness, is the form of Amitabha. Look at the mind that is free of subject-object duality. There is no other Amitabha than that. How wondrous is the truth body of self-knowing awareness.
Om Dewa Shu, Om Dewa Shu, Om Dewa Om Dewa Shu, 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 Om Dewa Shu. Om Dewa Shu, 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 Om Dewa Shu. Om Dewa Shu, Om Dewa Shu, Om Dewa Shu, Om Dewa Shu, Om Dewa. Shizan Kalan Jina Jin Kor Jin Zeba Wadang Dirza Lang La Po. Jara Dimba Gong La San Zeba Kajur Mbo Che La Ke San Sa Romi Chiji Yin Je Porana Tisam Sanji Kong Jin On Ransin Jugong Zon Dong Zebe, Zabe Lame Shabla Kusan, Zar, Dasu Simji Tamji, Lo Chusan Rovar Sinja Labdus, or Chilamdun Rovar Sinja Labdus, Lan Turba Seva Sinja Labdus, and Turba Yishi Sinja or Sinja Labdus. Ota, Terengaran so Amadeva, Tene Yin Simba, Kabla Chadi Yores, Tene Teneta. 양의 진소치기열에다 니마타버 나랑은에 까와 점보인사 담주주 밀리 톱 담부주 인도다보 나랑주다 중코나는 냠조세이터야 너 하자는 나랑 까와 점보인사 때 나랑 그때 소소 그 진소치기로와 까와 점보인사 가래지는 까와 점보리사 담부주주야 로와 제와다 체란 망보 그 대지기 자와 가와요 그래서는 주기버 소남을 인거요 대인데 되는 나랑 좀 더다버더니 동접을 효도부터 하향게 가와정보 인삼 따짐시 대선들이 가와고 더 답을 좀 권하는데 가서 냠교 세바이나 나랑서 렌지도 다쳐 냠도 더 답더니 아무데와 대사 드니신데 되네 지 겐동 하나 참아 겐동 망보진 되네 사나 되네 소남데 흉침으로 소남데 흉체를 챘로 배나 가진 뭐지 카상상 가서 때 아일랜드로 가면 아리조나 건 늦지서서 근데 싱가포르 아무데 동접 쳐야 돼 학경기 개치 모래서 대 가래스나 뭐만 보지 냠요세 대답을 거는 되니 어 냠내지는 되니 누바치 뭐 용거래서 그렇게 빼대는시 앉아서서 빼나 싱망보지 렌지도 되니 매지 바와이나 매지 침못 막 그래 와서 빼디나 이더니 로마망보 냠유제네 되네 냠낸 제바야나 대답하더니 소남 쇼치래 먼저 소남 침부 차그래 대답 참말 소남 침부터 되는데 아무데가다 냠내시야 되더니 렌치도 되니 동점 쳐야 돼 백해 침부래서 컨텐츠서 때문에 삼로단 대가랑 레도 왔어 되는데 간에 삼로단한 거는 소남 침부인사 단 너답지 아무데 동저 그래도 또 다른 뭐지 거는 한게 특기 몽남 때문에 쓰고요 근데 코네가 남경 가서 송구도 왔어요. 콩 르데 베나 싱가포르 타와 초바타와 냠교 맞이자 콩 셈데 가드이나 말아서 렌지데 요선데는 뭐지 샤지지 따바리 양세 송거를 되는데 너 따보다 냠교 세인데 들은 뭐지 무슨 육데 요선 가서 렌지데 대따바 삼로다는 되는 가서 되는 냠내세는 되는 거 라이가 라마 투지스나 라이 말한 거 줄은 주고요. 되는 텔레딘 당 안에서 아무데가 싸다는 지나 아무데가 싸다는 지나 가래 핀토 이르세나 빼나 람상 안에서 지 잘랑인 바테바나 이 락바나 렌추죠 된데 개요 말데 얘나야 텔레딘은 지 제와 처럼만 보는 싸게 레저 버만 보지 장거요. 박차만 보지 장거요. 나라도 지 아무데가 동럽데 내 휴위지 싸고 요상고라 휴위지 싸고 요 마스 휴위지 뱀大陆经公司大车嘛，学经啊，就过上过有了，这当也不来的，俺工作什么一起又不大这些，人那样俺个就牛蒙把的啥也不可打忙不起了，可人家不人那样俺就来啥有，当然今天是蒙南京那么送有的，下车上那人家不人咋的，那车上那江苏进不到吃个的时候，俺就接我长米罢了。소소 그때 류지 풍모도 찍찍이야 봐이나 찍반하기서 류에 싸기는 람나기 차그래서 나타 차라서 봐 대탐지 싸이야 봐이나 잠소나기 차그래서 들송을 제네 지금 홍남나나 대답은 안 속다 류지본 류망부터 리사 랑요 대답부터니 레망부지 싸요 레 비싼지만 잡 싸요 대인데더니 지 드랭아게 냠는지는 산행 공사 두 보지 차고 삼대 갑래 커버리도 왔어. 얘네 갑래 커버리상 야이 마 야버지. 나랑네 제가 처럼만 볼래만 보 사요. 얘네 다들리딘 드드는아 너다고 냠교시야. 오늘 까바딘바 소남 침보인 산. 드네 랑기 돈도야. 오늘 전에 다 아무데 동접데 랑기 돈도야. 예 심지 탐지게 돈도 예. 파마 뽕치 탐지게 인사. 참박치디 산. 너다고 말아서 랑기 탐지게 돈도야. 너다와 가와정보데 경송 사태네 소소를 가와고 어떤제 등이더니 야면시고야 돼 내가 침부리도스
Okay. So that didn't work. So now we are at our third day of the Amitabha 100 Million Mantra recitation retreat. And just again, as a reminder, each and every day we should remind ourselves that I'm really very fortunate. First of all, we have obtained a precious human life with the freedoms and advantages, and then also have the opportunity.
이나 끼야 어여서 많이 거서
Let
그거면 달라도
me see if I can change some of my. Let me see it.
Is it now? Is it a little bit better?
better 야 단디게 됐어
Hello, is it better? Can you
Yeah.
hear me? Is it better? Okay. All right. So today is the third day of our Amitabha practice. And just as a reminder, every day we have to remind ourselves, I'm very fortunate because first of all, I have obtained a precious human life with the freedoms and advantages. And also I have this opportunity to enter this mandala and engage in this practice, the 100 Million Mantra Amitabha Recitation Retreat. It's important that you always remember your great fortune and also why are you fortunate? It's because you have an opportunity to practice the Dharma, and Dharma practice is the root of happiness in this life and in future lives. And so entering such a 100 million mantra recitation retreat, therefore is a truly unfortunate opportunity. And so now we have all entered together into this mandala and we recite the Amitabha mantra together as a Sangha community. We are all members of the Sangha. And it is said that when many members of the Sangha come together to practice, then the merit becomes even more powerful. Actually, that's also something His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche said recently when I saw him back in Arizona. He gave this analogy. And so first of all, he said that there's practicing this Amitabha 100 Million Mantra retreat in Singapore is extremely important. And it's so important because many people come together for this practice. And when many people come together, then the power of the practice is really great. And he said that he gave this analogy, this example of like if you take a lot of wood, a lot of logs of wood together. So if you have many logs of wood, then together, if you set them on fire, then they create a massive blazing fire. And the more logs you have, the greater will the fire be. So likewise, similarly, when many disciples practice together, then the merit becomes immense, just like that. And we all receive great benefit from that. So that's why Rinpoche said that this practice of the Amitabha retreat is so important. And if we think about it, it really makes sense and it's really true. So therefore, remind yourself, I'm very fortunate. And also, this retreat is the fruition of Garchen Rinpoche's kindness and compassion. That is why we have this practice here together now. And he always says, as you know, that our minds are always together. So even if you are here physically practicing this in Singapore, our minds are still always together, no matter where we are. So that is something, as you know, that Rinpoche mentions over and over again. And so remind yourself of that and be aware of the fact that he's really here together with us. And then if you can feel that, then you will also receive the Lama's blessings. So what is the great benefit of doing this practice? And how do we receive those benefits? So it's not like receiving some kind of award, some kind of prize. You do something and then you have this prize right in your hands. But what you're doing is the work for many lifetimes. So for many lifetimes, you're purifying your obscurations and your negative karmas, so these habitual tendencies. So often we talk about it is incredible signs that we may see as a result of the practice, and of course this is all excellent. This is all great, and it shows that you have trust in the three jewels. But what we also need to see is that our afflictions are even more powerful. They are extremely powerful. So it takes some work to overcome them. It is that in the Chenrezig aspiration prayer, at the pile of our flesh is like a mountain, and our blood is like an ocean. So what this means is that the number of bodies that we have incarnated in the past are so many that if we were to count them, all of our bodies of the past, it would be a huge mountain like Mount Meru. And if we would collect all the blood that we have had in these bodies, it would be an endless ocean. And we have taken on so many bodies and have created so much karma in all this time. And so for this reason, don't think that now, therefore, through this practice today, I'm just going to get rid of it all. Of course, that would be very difficult. So just like that. But then we still have to do it. We still have to persevere in the practice, and persevere by reminding yourself of the great benefits of doing this practice. They are really measureless. So it's difficult to realize, but we must do it because we have found this precious opportunity that is really extremely rare to find. And so therefore think that it's really for my own greatest purpose, it's for my own greatest benefit, and it's also for the benefit of others. My relatives and friends and all beings, really, all my parents, relatives, friends, and all sentient beings. So I think that this 100 million mantra recitation retreat fulfills the purpose of all of us, of all of them. And so remind yourself of this great fortune as you engage in the practice.
다 값스 바바트랭 아란소타라 람초른 친처와 그 지친 당목에 드네 난게 드네 지친 찌빠데 예시 용불란소 달먹고선 데 타마르 따뇽한테 야든 방세 데리는 잡세
And in our the verses on the jewel, the precious garland of the supreme path, we are now in those 10 dharmas that would be a great waste, and we are now on the last verse in that set of 10, this verse number 10, and it says, "Your youth, when your body, speech, and mind are fresh and vigorous, is wasted when spent in ordinary indifference."
다때저 돈다 가르친 건도 어스는 당한 솔로 충충감네 드네 주 법용시 주냠는 지거레스 드네 충충감을 법용냠네 맞으나 게처도 연구문도 왔어 게처도 드네 연구요 말에 대는데 드네 충충드네랑 게 령아 있음데 드네 게와 게벨레 거네 배설지 법용 지거레스야 돈다 테리도 다때 등상 주소들 때빼 맞을 때 내가 다 그거에 빼요. 가르치나 뭐망고지기 따라 로 충청갑 지 법병시 주소 법병시 근데 이제 직딩 사와 레가 드야티 자치 못 쓰고요. 자치 못 되되나 쇼냐 소소 파마케 텔코론지 근데 부그 탐제게한테네 빼 든지 첸데치데 되네 삼노탄 빼 법병 들어가랑 진로와 드네 다 박차 차노다 내가 가래는 그 박차 세야 되는 거를 되네 중종들은 배 첸더의 치되더니 대 럽병 휴비지 제수사들 되네 강게 차대양 그 곰시 대가랑 여러 봐 곰시 대가랑 되네 게블로체 레짐데 소 삼시다 땅거요 말이 아 대인디다 가래 송거 이르세나 또 나랑 로 충충 예정데 되네 첸더의 치的 럽병 강세 반나이 양 나라도 제 스미치드 양 남부추양 뜻 럽병지 거래스 럽병지 럽소테 거래스 다데 파마든 제가 빼요래 아 파마 남바 임바 강실래 양 부부 담실래 양 남바겠지 주도 시라 해금도 아 남바겠지 레짐제 제와 합서 내 건조선 저쪽에 히라마 해서더니 부가 하고요 말봐 드니 부 첨보 차서도 드니 갑래 커버 갑래 커버에 대한데 드니 중중 드니 소소 그때서 제 롭소자 남부 취 따르 마랑 파마 남바를 마랑 레짐들이 이치요 건초스면 대바요 대바데 이치세야 돼 가와니 건초스면 돼 약불이 삼고요 대 약불이 삼서도 드니 마랑 그 부글라 테스 라버 대타 이 프로테스 라버레스 드니 랍이야나 드니 마음발라 코란서 드니 멘토니 랍용 세당 냠네 시미지 대 코란서 마음바 담초 얘네 중종갑 주니 말랍나 채서도 주니 용거면 더 하시 대인데더니 파마 남바이나 뿌를 때스지 남부 추기 때니 로소트야 돼 하장 같이 버려스 말한 좀 투효를 써야 돼 투효 써야 돼 추기 때문에 용거는 직된되는 용거를 파마 그 뿌글라 때서는 파마 남바이나 뿌를 때스지 남부 추대 마해베이나 뭐네 tin 투효 차다 된 투효로 뿌를다 빼 되겠다 고갑 침보지 동다 침보지 다 고갑의 효선 동다 침보 대인들이 남부치도 하장 그 짜침보네 산지 뭐 잡아 짜침보래 대인들이 짜침보 뜻이지 보를 롭소 마테가나 되니 롭병데 로충충 같아서 제파이나 되니 코랑 그 매체다 신득 대치된 엄마 짜와 가와요네 신득 대치 엄마 등 하나 주다라 남부치기 때문에 시행한 요거 따라 3년지 4주지 센서야 레짐도 이치 뜻되는 용거래 다른 하나도 쫓아나나 지금 초바자야 망보지 초바자야 노가 맘 통바 망보지 되네 양 자체선 작합작하는 초바자도 되네 양 먹게서선 초바자 때 탐제야 그 남부추의 레짐도 싫어 하마와서 된지 용거 잡을랭 마토 자침부 자니 돼서 그 코란스 레짐도 지양하서 켈링 거요 말 오늘 레짐도 켈링 링크요나 코란스 마토 주니 저거 말 대인도 되네 다 뿌를 남부추 때서 뭐 투시야 돼 내가 침부 차가요 그래서 마음반 잠랭 히데스에도 가는 잠랭 히데 엄마한테 가와인 거 엄마든 잠랭 히데거나 남부추기 때문에 레짐제 지양 합스때 하 고와이나 되니 뒤띠니 건 잠랭 히데스야 뒤띠는 거요 그래서 지왕 가서 레짐제 하 마와이나 잠랭 히데데 용약 갑래 커버 가르스는 그 센더 단진다 뇨몽바 뱅 마저 레심 침부 여러 왔어 되니 되게 되는 조바 마토 차가 양 삼도 되는 삼식이 되니 남바도 좀 주바 작도 야 남바 난 상도 되는 통보면 주바 작도 왔어 대 거랑 간사가 좋으니 마도 추기 좀 강야 말이 추 거랑라 배 가드에는 삼바도 제와 시랍 인핑글로 또 랑시거를 안 되는데 배 하장가 남부 추대 됐지 로충충가 롭소때야 배 enga 침보레스 당하란도 남주 추그 때문에 따라 배나다 아무데야 동점라고 다에 죽은 소바자 침보 가추자 침보 시에서 로충충 배 영영으로도 대 가래서는 수남 디치라 미부타리스가다 담배추 드비야다 담배추라 도나스야다 수남 때는 되니 대 진도 로스 지거 수남 유미 되니 되는 거 수남 유나 거 수남 그 자사거 수남 미나 되니 수남 그 자사거만 되는데 되니 소소 그 부거당 되니 양로 충용의 지출을 도난도 법령서 이거 돼서 내가 침부 차거요 그래서
So now, in terms of that, that we have to practice when we are young, and we should not think that I'm waiting until I'm getting old. So that's a really very important point, actually. We shouldn't think that put it off for later and think that this is something I can do later on. But the earlier we actually can start with our Dharma training, the better off we are. And so that's really very, very important, actually, that if you, for example, are a parent, that is, if you're a Buddhist and a Buddhist parent and you have children, then it's very important to impart that onto your children and to teach them the Dharma when they're still young, as much as possible. So because when they're still easier to teach them to.
Ki mendo, ki che song. Ko mendo da. Ki mendo chiran ki. Che.
Hello?
Oh yeah, that lives.
Now, can you hear me now?
That lives.
Oh, okay, all right. All right. So we should teach our children. If you are a Buddhist parent, to teach your children the Dharma when they are still young, and then not to wait for an older age. And so it's very important to consider, because for as long as they're young, when they're children, and when they're young, whatever they learn as children, any skills or anything that you study or learn as a child becomes sort of like a habit. It sticks to your mind, and it will affect your whole life later on. So whatever they learn is more likely to really become ingrained in them, so they actually really understand that later on. For example, the workings of karma and what it means to be virtues, and when they get old, they still have that habit if they grow up with that habit. And so, for example, the Buddha also happens in a worldly sense. So, whatever we learn when we are young, what habits we form when we are young, anything worldly too that we learn when we're still young, is something that just comes natural to us when we grow older. When we age, certain things that we have experienced children just stay with us for life. And then if we haven't learned certain things and we have to learn them later on, it gets much more difficult to learn that. And so that is why we have the opportunity to pass that on to our children at a young age. It will really benefit them later in their life. And then
Go somebody.
Huh?
Yeah, we should have go somebody.
Hello?
That's your love.
Can you hear me?
Something about wondering though.
Today.
Hi, Ina. No, we cannot hear. It's not clear. It's not. It's still choppy. Can you change some settings on your side?
Yeah. Just changed them. I'm thinking about maybe I'm too short to sign in with my
Oh, this is not good.
Have it. I think I'm going to sign in with my phone.
No,
Because that No, you don't think so?
No, it's not good.
Okay, wait a minute. Just a second. Again, I'm going to try something else. What's happening here?
Could you change some settings on your side?
Yeah, I'm trying to sign in with my phone, so I think the computer is not good.
Or maybe you want to try logging out and coming in again? Please hold on for a while. I think Ina has logged out. She'll be logging in soon.
Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro. Om Dewa Shro, Om Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro. Om Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro, Dewa Shro. Dewa Shro.
How's it now?
Oh, no.
Yes, Ina, I think this is much better. Can you say like a
Okay.
sentence?
Okay. Yes. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello. How is
Yes.
it now?
Yes, this is perfect.
Is that
Thank you very
better?
much.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So then, all right. Perfect. All right. So should I start over again, or is it too much?
Yes, I think you should start again.
Okay. All right. So sorry about that. With my connection here. So, anyways, so regarding practicing when we are still young, so it is important that we start as early as we can, and not think that I'm going to do that later in my life, because that would be a great waste spent in just ordinary indifference. And so that is because whatever we learn when we are still young, when we are children, whatever we grow up with is something that stays with us for our entire life. And so what, even in a mundane worldly sense, whatever you learn or study, whatever skills, whatever you experience, becomes your habit also later in life. It stays with you, it shapes you. And whatever we do not learn when we are children, we try to learn later, is much more difficult to incorporate as a habit. And so, therefore, if you happen to be a Buddhist parent, it would be extremely helpful and important support for your child to impart the Dharma to them as much as you can, so they have that habit. If you would be, if you're a Buddhist parent and you would fail to do that, that would be a great waste of your children's precious time. So it's important to impart and to teach them a little bit about karma and the practice of virtue. Because if they learn that and grow up with that, then that will stay with them for life. And then, of course, later on, once they have grown up, whether or not they actually adopt these practices and they actually do this is, of course, up to them. This is then their own choice. But it would be a great waste, a great loss, if we would not have even had tried and imparted onto them. So this is extremely important for a Buddhist parent. And so we're always talking about a world peace and harmony with each other, and for that to happen, we have to impart that to that young generation, because it has to be ingrained in our minds. So, for example, when we say may there be no wars in the world, why is there wars in the world? It's wars in the world because of karma, because of negative karma and non-virtuous actions. And so that is something that's important to understand. And in the future, if we are hoping for peace in the world, it comes from that understanding of karma, and that there are past and future lives, and eliminating our afflictions. If we don't understand karma at all, then it's very difficult to think about peace in this world.
Because when we don't understand karma, a person who doesn't understand karma, who has never learned that, they will be carried away by afflictions. There will be much pride, and people are very proud and competitive, arrogant, and so on, jealous. And because of these afflictions, there's constant war. Also war in the name of religion. And so when that happens, of course, even though maybe they have known about the Dharma, it's not the fault of the Dharma, because the Dharma only teaches love and compassion and wisdom, but it's the person who cannot control their afflictive emotions. And that is because they don't have a habit of doing of practicing according to the Dharma in an altruistic way. So that's why it's so important that we impart these teachings to our children when they're still young. And if no, we have if they have the merit, then they will also put that into practice. But so, for example, nowadays we can see there is in fact a lack of merit, because now here we have this great incredible Amitabha 100 million mantra recitation retreat and many other practices that teachings that we do. But in generally speaking, what we observe is there are actually very few young people that are coming here to these kind of teachings, and that's actually a sign that there is a lack of interest, because a lack of an interest in the Dharma comes from merit. So the reason why we are interested in the first place is because we have the merit to be interested. And then if there's no interest in it, then also there's a lack of merit. So it just shows a lack of merit, and that may also be because it has not been taught to them. So they don't understand how important it is. And for this reason, if you are a Buddhist parent, it's extremely important to also try to teach the Dharma to your children.
Tene ngaranzu chu nyamli lobyon de lo chungdini chi gorisi chenpo ta ngaranzu gange ma cha kudu goma devichi gange cha di chu nyamli sene indi pe yabo rwasi yina yan lo chungdi rikpa sarbo yu namjo sarbo yu di tene chu lobyon nyamli chi gor mato ma gange cha sa di tene lobyon siya lan kable kabo nyamli siya lan yan tene kable kabo yung gore so tara tingri jaza mnana kare sondu sena yombu tisu katab remla chi gene chunga mando tingra wasi 용드는 하나도 출을 갖다 법정에 딘지고 맞아 개차도 용거 말이에요. 그래 되는데 다 용법 감내 되는 아주 냠내 지고를 해서야 돈다 되리다 하세요.
And so the point here is that we should practice while we are young, and meaning that we shouldn't wait, like thinking I'm going to practice later. Of course, if you're already old, it's still good to practice, of course, now too. But once you're old, everything just gets harder. Whatever you want to study, whatever you want to learn is much harder. And so therefore you should practice right now, whenever you can, as young as possible, as early as possible. And Milarepa said to the people of Tingri, huh? Huh? Was that Milarepa? Tingriva said that already? So someone called Tingriva, right, said that, so practice the Dharma, or practice diligently while you're still young, because when you're old, then the opportunity will not arise. So the point is that we should practice while we are young and not put it off until later.
다때 방부 취제의 신을 봐야지 방부 취제 나서 다 그부 취제네.
So this completes the first set of 10, the 10 causes of great waste, 10 great wastes. And then the next set of 10 is called the 10 necessary things.
그부 취제는 자부터는 랑게 포토신 바 되지 기자만 줘 봐시 그 대다 쫀리지 라마 담바 카신 줘 봐시 그 당화지 쫀시베 라마 당화 당카만 나와시 그 시랍다 대배 대파 닝딘지 라마 담바 송 투공롱 봐시 그 진다 시인 바요도 된베 고슴 니준저 마그 봐시 그 고차다 닝덥지 yedam tinji tsukta pa shigu chame shimiji juba nata mula ma showa shigu chu yonga jisim jisim pe tato tsoni sopa la tsompa shigu samda nyingi ngusam jone simji jiton lo sipa shigu shirab tang koto ji chu tamji ngudan tsiman ma showa shigu ndani gubi chu ju ina oso chena tsab sikdi ma lo yana rwa tambo.
Mhm. So first I'm going to read the root verses. You need, so number one, you need to stay independent so as not to lose your true priorities. Number two, you need to follow the words of a sublime master with trust and exertion. Number three, you need to decide on your master's unerring oral instructions by understanding your shortcomings and virtues through his advice. Number four, you need to assimilate the sublime master's realization with discriminating knowledge and persistent devotion. Number five, you need to remain untainted by faults in thought, word, and deed, and through being mindful, conscientious, and careful. And number six, you need to keep your resolve steady and unwavering with the armor of fortitude. Number seven, you need to be unattached and free from clinging so as to avoid letting the rope to your nose slip into the hands of others. Number eight, you need to constantly exert yourself in gathering the two accumulations by embracing them with the preliminary, main, and concluding stages. Nine, you need to turn your mind towards helping other beings with loving kindness and compassion, both directly and indirectly. And number 10, you need to avoid letting phenomena stray into concrete materiality by means of discriminating knowledge and understanding. So,
아야 대 담보들 랑게 포츠 심베 뒤지 예자 만초 바시 그스다 그비치 추저선 그방 알아 가래 창거스나라 나랑 추냠내시는 알아 가래 가래 고도 세테 그스 언더 고도 누고도 세치 여러 대답 그바스 랑게 포츠 심베스 랑게 포츠 저단 다르데 랑게 포츠 심바스는 저단 직팀베케 나오치도와 직팀베케 예자 만초 다 사와 가래제는 딱게 시고레세야 그래 돈다 대엔도 지리 랑게 포츠 심베 뒤쳐서 단 돌드나 나랑 다 추바 추냠니 시니 나시거 추냠니 시거 시니나 데네 랑게 추좀드 데네 뇽모 바다 뇽모 왕도 마쇼바 로와 뇽모 왕도 마쇼바 지거레스 랑게 포츠 신세데 저단 사와 가레나 추심바 사와 가레야 야니 가레드는 추심바 상보 답지시 데네 도르드네 게벨레라 로소바 답지시네 데네 게벨로 로스 소는 데네지네 다 인지 지왕도 마쇼와 인지 왕도 마쇼와 그러와 인지 왕세에 된 이용 그래 라왕세데 랑게 뇽모 왕도 효소나 고 다르데양 이왕도 효와래 뇽모 왕도 효소로 대 이왕지 양 종인바 종인바세나 양 나랑게 추줍고 삼바이나 추줍고 삼발로요나 양 종인발레 되는 랑게 양 추주야 냠네시야 대답은 양 라강고다 같이 지는 거로 봐 대인데 종인바 왕도 마쇼와스 종인바 왕도 단도드네 예 포츠 심바서 랑라 먼저 저초 저당 그 먼저 뭐 띵본죠 대답은 랑게치 다바 링이 가래 듣고요나 데네 란니게 남주의 시랍을 때네 데네 랑게 동다 타주 데네 데네다 타르폭 장섬 타르폭 장섬네 데네 답지시네 데네 랑게 타주네 데네 너데네 릭버차 데네 로거 다 릭버차 데네 조와미바 데네 로거 요레스 다른 말에 박대 롱진지 정도 만 남조 심라 감성스 왕주 칸말 초만요 주다도 추봉원이 셔 추dum이 추냠네 신용원이 되니 배 종인보 왕도 효미 성어 다콩 종인보 왕도 효미 뇽문보 왕도 효미 너나코 남조게 셈만 남조 심라 감성스에도 콩 남조 셈고 냠네 코나리와 대밤그 삼행제 산초치 셈 짤장 거를 대때는 그 텔라 로지야 대때는 로 임보왕도 마효와 단지 시그요래 단지 숨도 단지 인사리
There are the 10 necessary things. So necessary because these are 10 things that we need. So certain things that you need for your practice. So the first thing that you need for your practice is you need to stay independent so as not to lose your true priorities. And so not to lose your priorities. This is also kind of colloquial sort of language. And so what that essentially means is that not to lose your priorities is that always think twice about what you do. Whatever you do, think about it first. Really examine that. And if you are as a Dharma practitioner, you must ensure that in whatever you do, that it will not lead you to become controlled by your afflictive emotions. So you must not allow those afflictive emotions to take you over. And so whatever things you do, you must make sure that you do not become controlled by afflictive emotions, and that you instead you try to turn your mind toward the Dharma. And so also, for example, that it has to do with whoever you encounter, like the companions that you encounter, that you associate with. You should avoid negative companions because, for example, even if you think that you want to practice the Dharma, if you keep bad company, then they might obstruct you, cause some obstacles if you become influenced by them, and that will obstruct your practice. So you want to have your own freedom, and you also want to have be free from the control of others. So when, for example, when you associate with someone or whatever you are about to do, first of all, use your own intelligence and think about it, and then decide if that really fulfills your most meaningful purpose. So always examine so your true priorities, and don't lose your true priorities. And then choosing your priorities, you go into the direction of virtue, and in an unchanging and stable way. There's a quote by Milarepa, and so he said that the yogi, this yogi acts according to whatever comes to mind, never having lost my sovereignty to other opinions. So what Milarepa is saying that this is from a perspective of a practitioner. From a perspective of a practitioner, don't allow yourself to become controlled by companions. A yogi's mind is only concerned with practice. So your only concern should be to train your mind in faith, devotion, and compassion. And whatever obstructs that, you avoid that. So you do not allow yourself to fall under the negative control or influence of others. So.
단 너나 가서 추냐면 추바이나 되네 로자 팀보 거리서 단 너든 저땅 계jan데 로자 팀보 그리고 로자 팀보나 데레랑게 돈바 단책도 야보 송투고요 아 되네 딩제 망보 요나 로자 팀보면은 되네 돈바 단책도 야 송투고요 말이지 되네 너나 잡 담자지요 잡 담자세 땅하게 되네 gewa drivya digba panya ten te cholo loza timbo gore se ya tonda ten sa re se ngaran zo te mandraw che cha ya na chu tang ge mag chu chona na mandraw cha ya ba yana ya ma timbo re se se de ma timbo ze de ma yin be shi chi ro ma timbo re se ya te o ko ge sawa lingin tap je se de ne sawa ligba cha te na ro go te na jwa ke yo ma re jwa mi sa de ko sawa ya po drip ta pa le ka kare dun nan thar sim ba chi tu go re tene yang 멀로자 띵보 미나 양 딩점 망보로 딩점 망보이나 tene 사와 자침보에 릅투고요 말이 자침보 릅투고요 말이 tene 사와랑 이 전루는 전에 단 너들은 사와 탈심에 사와 강염이 봐. 이나 내가 장초에 망보치 진지 망보로 봐. 늦지는 야 야본도서 양 때스데 양 저와다 양 늦지는 야본도서. 근데서 저와 장장 땅들더니 내가 때는 탈심에 내가 강해요만 좀제 좀 내가 요 말해. 근데 너는 내가 망본 거 짬요래. 이나야 좀제 강해 동거요 말해서. 다들 가려 가서 진지 망보로 봐. 진지 망보. 띵보미 봐. 로자 띵보미 봐. 진지 망네 사와 망본 좀 투고요 말해서. 가서 닉딩 bakake yore ngaso pai ki tambe la jingce logos jingce logos na jinggi tongse de log ting re la wata ndache ne yaksa san yang yang jong de samno tingman gun jondu re la wata tingbo khae minjo tene jingce logos ten ndre na tene sawa shiran du yo mara pen na maji ki chela ya chanjo shira chimdo ko tende la gu do la na yichi chigum do 가르스나 곧 담보네 띵보 요마 띵보 메시드니 진저 망보드니 계잔 라므라 망보 시에요 되는데 사와얀 두고요 말에 먹이 치안 지요 말에 삐디나이 담부추 드나야 로사 띵보 거레스 섬직 진직세는 알아서 쌈노 콘조스인데 레짐지데 로른 주와미바 드니 티테네 다 나기 게와 칸토 유튜브 주야 대치고래서 알아서 중중하는 송거도 왔어 마짬바는 초인데 짬에 독발 맞아 행서 제와 인도 대공平 득도 동안 포괄지어서 마찬가지 제와 담바 남제세 그래 제와 담바 남제 사와 망보 짬고 요 말이지 가시 즉 사와제 짬바이나 될 답제세 그래 답제세나 this 사와데 제나 사와데 듬나 핀토 연조 리도에 핀토 연조 리도 다때 줍트사르웨 다 줍트사리 때 핀토 노선은 되니 사와데 짬고를 나에 되니 사와데 짬쳐도 되니 때 참주고만 죽지요래서 근데 기부 담반 신이 땀에 높아면 자오스 바로 되니 야요 말이서 다른 말 생각도 대나게 때 가르쳐 기부 담바스 남주 시랍진세 저속 담보 답조스 캐페인 요미나 삼다네 되니 차폭제서 핀톤도 이해나 핀베 사와린도 산 되니 되니 사와데 짬에 되니 죽지요래서 대답들 되니 주지 이게 잠만 주바 그세 동다 든지지 인사를 사와 팀보 줄 거야.
Um, okay. So then now, so if you're a Dharma practitioner, you need to have a very stable mind, because if you need a stable mind in order to keep your vows, to keep your discipline. Without any mental stability, you will not be able to keep any of your disciplines, your vows. Because if the mind is not stable, essentially your mind is scattered and you're thinking about too many things. So you cannot really actually be a trustworthy, reliable person if your mind is all over the place. So in order to be able to practice virtue, to keep your vows and accomplish virtue, you need mental stability. And it's not just in the Dharma, also in our society, in our community. If a person is stable, the other people trust them. For example, when they say they do something, then they actually do it and they don't change their mind because they have thought about it first. They follow through and they do good things that benefit others. And once they have decided, I'm going to do this, they also complete that activity. On the other hand, a person without stability, they are thinking many thoughts. And because of that, because their mind is all over the place, they cannot accomplish many great things. They're always changing because their mind is always changing. The mind jumps around, and so they're also always changing. Nothing is completed. They may do a lot of small things and start one thing after the other, but they never finish anything because they think, oh, this would be good to do, or that would be good to do. No, that would be better. So they begin that, and then they think something else would be better, and then they start that. But whatever they start, they never really complete anything, and it goes on like that. And so this is what happens when we think too much. It makes it just impossible to finish anything. So this is one saying we have in Tibet. It says, during one visit to the toilet, when you pee, when you take one pee, you have the mind has 9 different thoughts in general, so in average. So essentially, when you do one thing, just for the time it takes to pee, your mind changes 9 times. You're thinking that I should do this, and then you think about something else. Maybe I should do that, and so the mind just jumps to 9 different places in a very short time. And with such a constant change in your mind, you can't accomplish anything. So you will always say, I will do this, I will do that, but then nobody will trust you because they already know you won't follow through. So without any mental stability, you may say a lot of things, but nothing is ever accomplished and others lose trust in you. If you have a stable mind, then you will be unchanging. You will have an unchanging trust in the 3 jewels and in karma. In the Bodhicharyavatara, it says that holy beings, wise beings, don't do many things. When they do something, they first examine it. If I do this, will it benefit? If there is a benefit, then next they ask, then is this something that I actually can do? Is this something that is realistic? So first, is there benefit? And second, is this something that is realistic to do? And then if yes again, then only they will do it. And then once they started doing it, they also complete it. And they don't do all kinds of other things. So this is actually the defining characteristic of a wise being, a holy person. They don't abandon a task before it's completed because they have thought about it well in the first place. They have great wisdom and intelligence that they use to first examine any activity. And if they find that it benefits others, then they think it through, and if that's realistic, and then they decide on that, then they do it, and they follow it through to the end. So in brief, this verse is essentially telling us that we need stability in whatever we do. So
자부 책임받에 대바당 존리제 라마 담버 가힌데 주바시 그스
and then the second verse, you need to follow the words of a sublime master with trust and exertion.
다데 조 가르 라마 게 라마 담버 가스데 나란지 그 말호 공제 새로 공제 참말 라마 쓰는 걸 라고요 말이 대조 가르는 게비히니 체바른 봐봐 소소게 잡을 라마들 라마 신이든 대답하더니 제 소소 주나 그 왕게 대답하더니 라마 게비히니 체바를 봐봤던데 되는 자로 꼭갑 종네 되네 대답 되네 되네 아 주티삼세야 고갑 종아에나 되니 대답하더니 잡을 라마들 되니 대바슴 그래 가지고 대바듯이 대바슴 당워 대바 누비 대바 이치기 대바스 대바슴 주고네 대바슴 주고는 론주바미 봐 되니 론주바미 봐더니 라마까기 좀 되니 가게 냠닌시 로 가래 라메 가래 소마이나 되니 가게 tel라 되니 배 lobjonsi yilang iparsi yilang zin tene te tabadene tene bestorzen nyamnesia zo tunda terhiger zo tinane ta tepa de kichim chagar karzene yang aranso lama gewihin chepardan pabatene jarja ras rani soso jin nyomong bataso be hyokchimbo marik bataso tumogdo hyokchiansa de tene lama kosong to yongtin to so mantangwa che yang gyung to rani tepan junru 대반줄 양대 잠징 배설 맞아봐 대출은 냠는데 같이 대받치나 대장하고 배설 지기 대장하고 돈한 지기 대자 돈한 제바 잠 배설 제나 될때 대장 치응하고 줄을 용딘데 제요 대자들은 아까 럽병시 냠는데 대자 말아서 대바세 가리치디 대바디 고르시나 라마디 치 대바 고르세 대마리 대바 히포 대요나 나는 통칭부 지거로 뺀 통칭부 지인데 다 델티네 되니 나게 라마 게비히니데 가래 손은 나게 일에 뺑 찾지 될 도낭지 될 다보자 자침불 저 될 때는 다 나가 용대데 공을 풀거다 라마 게베히니 간송 간지 이나야 라니기 지 뇨모바 만들어 탑다 라니기 줄을 3년지 실업 공는 풀야 대장장 송거여와 대가랑 그 자침보지 답보 잡을 때는 되니 될 때는 랑기 주 용대 공는 풀거여래서 대스나 라니기 주 공포는 로고 주나 되니 대파 다낭스에 되더니 용거래서 되니 쫀르죠 라마 담바 까기를 다른 대파 요바 찌부근 저거면 더 쫀르 치거든 가르송나 되는 냠네시 빼나가라서 쫀르 맞으나 되니 양배 탄후 현도라 참상하는 전들이 연구도 라마카게 빼 라마라 대파 침보지 뺀 람상 뺀 초와 효침보지 빼 휴지 양 눈차지 슬로지스를 당 갈렌 초와 강해미바 도난 강해미바 차르도 된데 많이 봐 소비지스 많아 봐 오늘 대파스디 여대게 용티 라마 게비키니 그 용텐 체프라와 통 드니 대응하게 롭종 냠에서는 아니 라니를 핀토고 유바시 드니 대다고 거는 드니 대파트에서 공는 풀고 된 풀바스 발 쫑르 지거도 쫑르 생각에 따라 라마송도 냠니시 될 때는 드니 라니기 지 주용 틴데도 야 공펀로데 드니 빼 말라 핀토고 유바하고 로와 아 라니를 핀토스 라마 게비키니 핀토스 남중 안에서 셈을 따라 안자 진나 해당 뇽모 발로 망보 텔레티는 센 tap을 맞지베 여러분 라마 게비키니 송나테 나게 냠는지네 텔레티는 랑게 셈을 때 쇼와 데와 아 그래서 연구요 그걸 추크랑 용대를 봐어 대다고 용야를 다 쫑르시고 쫑르를 남중 안에서 쫑르 쓰면 거를 고쳐 쫑르 조르 쫑르 근데 초발만 진짜 쫑르 고쳐 쫑르 세안서데 집에 서로 그 열 랑아서 지파 논남도 녀무고 왕도 혈마송아 라니게 랑을 담자시 고차신 하고로 고차시 jorwa세디페 레글왕도 마셔와 뱀베서 양의 양도 베서시 촉발 문제면 세서디 다른 가는 게 희바장 그 만들 봐 대패 공은 공도 봐발은 베서시 그도 지고요 저도 지기도 안 하는데 촉발 문제면 세디 다 망보 럽병세로 추 망보 럽병세 양 드렌더 럽 사년 임바지 럽 나니 살바지 럽 나한테 추시에다 배나 드렌 드렌 알아서 마타바치 히히요레세나 마타바 등에 럽용세 차데세면라 어 데네 양 임바지 히게데스나 어때 나테 다 고만이 된 로고세면로치 그래서 용어도 된데 응원해지는 대 말이 마타바치랑 고용 요령 은혜를 마타바디 얘는 철주르체 요말때 양세 때리 양세 배sor치 냠네시 럽종시 배랑가 생가 땡사보치 고아 마차버드 때려야 대랑마 흉자거 지 양세의 지금 총성을 많이 봐 다른 땡사보치 마시버드 되니 되는 배sor치 이거야 그래서 연구 요래서 되는데 대답을 보내더니 다 좋은데 다 대빨을 때는 대랑가 배sor치는 라마 담바 까긴데 drugs 되니 라마 주송을 봐서기도 주송을 봐이나 되는 주바 탐지군 초도 줄 봐서야 대 연구 요사래서 난 너들은 추냐면서들 라마 까기 drugs 따라 공도 시바나기 라마 기비히니 되네 또 싸울라마 소소 싸울라마 가 벨름 추냐면서야리다야 추냐면서야라 가 없었대서 되네 뒤까지 좀 그래라 그래
Oops. But 1 second. Let me some things to do. Okay. Yeah. So then, coming then to the next verse, and that is, so you need to follow the words of a sublime master with trust and exertion. So you follow the sublime, whatever the sublime master, whatever the guru says. And that means that it's what is that guru is not just someone wearing the red or the yellow robes, that is a lama or a spiritual friend, but it's someone who gives you the authentic and genuine instructions and has genuine authentic qualities. So if you have the opportunity to meet such a spiritual teacher, you must listen to their teachings and practice them, and develop the three kinds of faith. That is the clear faith, the aspiring faith, and the trusting faith. And through the three kinds of faith, your connection to the Lama becomes stable. And then everything, you will do whatever the Lama tells you to do. You will be unchanging. Your mind will not change. But you firmly, with stability, practice what the Guru asks you to practice. You will pay attention to that because you consider it, because you have faith and devotion, you consider it as very important. You consider it very precious. So you want to learn it, you want to keep it in mind, and you want to make an effort to practice it. And so here, therefore, this faith and devotion is really most important. So that's most important, because even if a Lama is very special, even if you meet this very special, authentic Lama, if your own afflictions and your own ignorance are very strong, then you will not be able to see that Guru's qualities of his body, speech, and mind. You will not see his good qualities, and you will only see faults. And your devotion, your faith is changeable, it declines, and therefore you will make little effort in the practice. And the more someone is interested in something, the more one will make an effort in it, and the more effort one makes, that will lead to more and more qualities. So this is how the qualities arise. It comes from your own faith and your own effort that you put in. So why really do we need to have faith in the Lama? Is it because the Lama wants that faith? He wants that we have devotion? It's not because of that. It's because if you have faith, then you will see that Lama as very special, very unique, and you will consider everything he says as a treasure. You will cherish every word he says. You will see, you'll keep every word very, very close to you, and you will practice it. And then what the Guru really tells you to do essentially is nothing else but different methods to tame your mind, to tame your afflictive emotions, to increase your love and your compassion and your wisdom. And if you follow the Guru's instructions, then these qualities will also arise within yourself. So that is the reason why we need to have faith and a pure perception in the Guru, in the Lama. So then here also it says, so we need trust and we need exertion. So exertion, it means diligence. So it's not enough actually to just have faith or devotion. We also have to make an effort. We have to be diligent. Because if you're not diligent, then we might not really develop or do anything. So, for example, there are some people who start out with a lot of devotion. When they first meet a Lama, they have a very strong feeling and a very strong devotion. But then as time goes by, the weeks and the years pass by, a year later, that feeling is not so strong anymore, and the interest is basically gone. And so this is not how we should practice, obviously. So first of all, having true faith is to see the Lama's qualities and to see the Lama as something really very special, very precious. And then you want to learn from that Lama because you know that benefits you. And then through that, your faith grows even stronger. And so for that, you need to apply diligence. That means diligence in practicing what the Lama tells you to do. And if you do what the Lama tells you to do, then your qualities will also increase. So it really helps you the most. So normally, as ordinary people, we live in a state of fear and anxiety and unhappiness, and we're constantly resentful or angry. And so that's why we're always miserable, we're always unhappy. But if you will practice at least some what the guru tells you to do, you will find that this is how at least some peace will begin to arise in you. And that's the quality of the Dharma. And this is what you can gain from that if you make the effort. And so then in terms of the effort or the diligence, there's three kinds of diligence. There is the armor-like diligence. There is the diligence in gathering virtue, and there is the diligence or the insatiable diligence. So the armor-like diligence is where you're protecting yourself from discouragement, essentially. So you ensure that you put on the armor as a protection, so you do not fall under the power of anything that could discourage you or influence you otherwise. And then there is the diligence in gathering virtue. So, applying virtue. And so here is essentially is you do what you have learned. You actually apply it. So you understand it and then apply it. And then there's the insatiable diligence, and that means that as you apply it, you never feel like you have done enough. You never feel that that's enough. That's good for now. You always feel that you want to do more. You want to practice more. Because there's some people who study a lot of Dharma, and they jump around. So they learn one thing today, and the next day they learn something else. The next day, again something else. They learn all kinds of Dharma, but they end up not applying it, not really practicing it at all. So, for example, if today there is a teaching on impermanence, then you might think that, oh, I already know that, I already learned that. And that happens to be another teaching somewhere else on a new topic that I have not learned about before. So since I have not heard about that before, I should go there and not listen to the impermanence teaching. And so, yes, you have heard about impermanence before, but it has not truly arisen in your mind. For it to arise in your mind, you need to constantly familiarize yourself with it. You need to actually constantly apply it and practice it until you really understand it on a deep level. So it's not enough to think, oh, I learned it, I know it. So you check it off your list of things you want to learn, and you move on to the next thing. But you think that I understand it, and therefore I will keep learning it more and more. So my understanding grows deeper and deeper. And this is really how we practice the Dharma. There's really no end. It's not that we kind of complete certain practices and then we move on. There's always more to learn. There's always a deeper level to understand about any topic. There is no end to learning about any topic in the Dharma. So that is what we need to do. We need to bring together this trust and exertion of faith and diligence. And so we need to have faith and then actually put everything into practice exactly how it was taught by that spiritual master, by the guru. And that, in fact, is the best offering, the best service that you can offer to the guru is the service of practice. So that is, if you have not, again, the special guru, like your root guru, when we say that you should do whatever the guru tells you to do, that means whatever Dharma practice the guru tells you to do, that is what you should do.
Dene tepa da zunri lama kaki drove se de pena ngaran so tara kaju getene lama namba. Dene pena naro pinchin getene telo pala kandre kawa kawa mambo chene tene konge tara telo pa ki yung tin tong ne tene telo tepa ne tene kawa sanje machaba mambo chene tene telo tene tara tene tara kongi tene dhamma tsama toplu basi telo pendene telo tene tene naro pinchi chapo kompang tumpul shipa pe tina yi tene malare payang tene kongi lama marba lo sala sanje machepa tepa sanje machepa yorwa tene te tepa telo tene kongi pe tene marba la pe 지송 그 까드면 지송 까드면 다르더니 공 저보마서 공방 톱스 봐. 또 소위 뱀총 여러 와서 뱀총 빼띠다 봐. 드네 라면 게베 힘을 띠인디더니 대답은 마용나야 대답에 찬다 왔어. 또 소용이야 드네 소소겠지. 배tor 지고 있어레스. 라마 담바 까긴 저세야 돼. 드네 대인디더니 tuso yona teni naro pan namtar malare pan namtar to samsam tis lo na nga to tara chunyam nesi labode tara kaju koma namji song tuso tis namtar la teni lobyon sena teni ngone pe pinto chembo yung go res chunyam ni lobyon sela
Um, and so we with faith and diligence, we practice as the Lama instructs you to practice. And so what we can do to inspire us is, for example, we can hear about the past Kagi masters, for example, the way in the Kagyu lineage, for example, how the kind of hardships Naropa had endured under his guru Tilopa. And throughout his hardships, he saw Tilopa's qualities and his devotion grew even more. And then he endured even more trials, but finally he received all of the teachings and became the great accomplished master Naropa. Or if we think about Milarepa, he had an unimaginable devotion to his guru Marpa. He did whatever Marpa told him to do. And in the end, Milarepa also became a great accomplished master. And there are many such examples. And so we should take these and try to make that kind of an effort. So sometimes if you have time, read the life stories of these past Kagyu masters like Naropa and Milarepa, and learn about their teachings, what they have taught. And this will bring a lot of benefit to your Dharma practice.
다 심바데 간자기 중용 히베 라마 남카마노 헤그 세테리도 잡세다
Then the next verse, you need to decide on your master's unerring oral instructions by understanding your shortcomings and virtues through his advice.
다디는 세대 가서 간사기 쭈운다 용디니 소소가 잡을라마 지 소소가 지 잡을라마 띵사지요 띵사지 구요나 되네 다 구고요나서 구로 와서 하나도 추냠니시 라바드 상한 도지 대바냠니시 인데더니 주파타 라마도 하견 그 내가 전부 잡고 여러와 어때인데 되네 대답되네 잡을라마 고요나시 되네 되게 쭈운다 용디니 하 고버되네 되네 랑게 잡을라마 담카마 나와 남도 네 라고요 말에 담세 감보바게 담카마 나와시고레서 담시고레서 소도 그 잡을라마데 다 말아서 지 소소 담마바리 인사되지 라마데 게비히니 가레냐네야 가레 똑반동 가서 시그 말을 봤어 나다 간디지 담고르세나 짜와 광게 찌기 되는 도 중중나네 중중나는 짜색지 송도 가레 송도서는 가서 되네 라마 게비히니 되라 칭이 창고와 칭이 창고가 되는 가레 송도서나 아스 중중나는 따빠르 게베 히니네 특히 동랑 개바다 산초선부터 용조 속을 서야 마땅어서 다 대답이 용된지 창고르세 라마 게베 히니라 되나는 가르송도세나 따빠르 게베 히니 다 게베 히니 데스 되네 대 투주게 용된 투주게 용된라 되네 특바침복 동랑 개바세나 베나따라 말아서 다 산초샘다 특바 진보 특바 중앙 가서 상하 생가서 뭐 비교와 되는데 특바 진보 따적 특바 진보 같은 따와다 좀다 특바 진보 같은 남자 저 빼 개바 거리지 그래서 힘이 돼 동작 남자 힘이 특징 게 동는 개바 담보철 두삼 요데 봐 되더니 막 로마는 첸 개바 로마 남는 되니 마 산초 샘도 루시 힘이 됐다 양 카기 히바타 많이 봐 산초 샘부 들용 졸람도 되니 때 산초 샘밖에 냠는데 냠네 특유를 산초 샘게 냠네 요봐 초와 소를 밥장 소고 스양 마땅 어선도 소를 투장이 되니 산초 샘리 마땅 산초 샘리 마땅 샘긴 리 마땅 다 랑게 돈 많이 봐 인지 돈 기치다 tene rangi lim rangi tene yin lima tangwa rewa solo pabja yin lima tangwa te tawa go resi ta tene donda domna tsor kare hini de kar changu sina tikpa chimbo tonglang kepa tikpa chimbo tonglang kesa tikchin ke tadrip hakowa tene rangi jula yang kan hieba zamayin ba tsa tukju la tene sancho sengwe yung ting tukju la ngusu yo ba sancho sengwe nyamne tseda dimba yo ba tene simjing shiri tene so rani ka sol babja tene simjing yi lim tongba ta te ta gogu yo re song ta sol ma dong sin kable khabo ro yena ya ta nge simjing e li tong ka min sam ba sancho simjing kondup sancho sim tong da sancho sim ma zo mangbo song yo ro ta na ya kondup sancho sim yakbo chi nga zo gewi hin la te go yo sa re se an tene te ta damkha manawa se de 용딘 맞죠 남주데 제가 타마바 망보지게 야 소소게 기베히니게 용딘라 마다바치 그리고 맹당 천만투 다 로지 제저 저 망보가 따로요 그러와스 저한테 가게한테 따나 야보여서 한 3년도 노스게 그러와스 노스게 그랬는데 되니 남주 코란소 용시 야바 용세나 따라봐 산초심밖에 따라 라바 랍자 기베히니게 신이도 진이제 야바 대창의 요미다 저 대다고 유사를 와서가서 개비히니 남들신 다라디 상하게 되니 말아서 잡을라마스 단어 델레네센 토르 다라 산초생 다라디 중중은 송 야바 산초생 다라 개비히니 산초생 진이지 창도 디칼드니 대예 야보테네 다 상하게 도제로 보내더니 디칼드니 상하게다 아양 네체 네체의 dimbato so yang gebhini to so le yong yo re se te yena yang dan do na ta dambo ta de tara chung na song ya batene te gebhini chini de chang do me do to so tapje ya po ji go re song go 가르서 대 라니 소소를 따라 추냠네 시인데 gebhini de 하장 기 침보 인사데 to so tene damka manawache tene tapje ya po shi go re tamje ya po che tene tene rang ge ta rang gebhini shiba tene dam go re song go ta 대답했더니 개비히니랑 남 차도 따라 공도 요와 대파탄 존주게 되네 개비히니 그랬더니 저송그 가지고 걸리세 대용 거래 담보니 남야한테 노 되니지 나랑게 담보 대파치서 여들 용디 마창장하게 담차도 되니 종이 좀 망보진 통 되는랑게 대로지 대로지에서 되니 배담책 차 tene tele tene rangi che gewa drubya ke tene parchi mangpo yungu yoro wasi te tsama tambo rangi ki tabchi mazibi chung yungu yoro tene tabchi yapo si go re so ya te yung sa re so ya
So number 3 is you need to decide on your master's unerring oral instructions. By understanding the faults and the qualities. So what it means is that when we must rely on our root guru and a master, and so we need to find the right master. And so we need to examine the right master, because to practice, especially to practice the Vajrayana, the secret mantra, lineage and a root guru, a master to follow are extremely important. They're really indispensable, actually. So we must rely on root guru. But before we rely on root guru, Gampopa says you first need to know how to properly select that guru. And in order to select the right guru, you need to understand the shortcomings and virtues. So only then can you understand who is that right guru. And so now, so because we are ordinary beings, we don't truly know a lama's realization or his qualities of attainment. So not knowing that, we can't see that. So how can we choose them? So there are certain characteristics, certain qualities that a guru must possess, as mentioned, for example, in the Bodhicharya Vatara. The Bodhicharya Vatara says that always maintain connection with the spiritual friend who is skilled in the meaning of the Mahayana and who possesses the discipline of a bodhisattva. Once you have found them, do not abandon them even at the cost of your life.
So these are the essential qualities that a guru must have. And of course, there are different vehicles. There is the Mahayana, Hinayana, the Vajrayana. But now, especially according to our view and practice, the Mahayana view and practice that Lama must have, must be skilled in the Mahayana view, in the practice, and in the scriptures. So he must truly understand the meaning of the Mahayana and must also not just know how to speak about them well, but must also have integrated that into his own mind stream. He must hold that same discipline. So he must have an understanding and also must have an ability to introduce that to others. For example, to introduce others to the meaning of bodhicitta. So it's not enough for him to just speak about knowing all about bodhicitta, but he must also be able to impart that quality onto others. And for that, he also must have that quality. So that is why it says in the Bodhicharya Vatara, even at the cost of your life. So he's someone who does not forsake sentient beings, even at the cost of life. So not forsaking sentient beings at the cost of life means never abandoning a single one for one's own sake, even at the risk of one's own life. So of course, for us, that is hard to actually practice in our lives because it's not easy to cannot forsake every being. But at the very least, we should think that I'm not, or this person should be able to think, I'm not going to, I don't want to forsake, I will not forsake sentient beings. At least you have this aspiration. There's different levels to bodhicitta. There's the relative bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. At the least, we want to have a lama that is very clear in the relative bodhicitta and can impart that, and that also makes them a qualified master. So you don't want to be mistaken in your choice. Therefore, look at the qualities of the holy masters, and so that is why often we say that we have to kind of investigate them a bit. We know about their life story and their reputation, their titles, and so on. But also, we must remember that all these appearances can also be deceiving, and then it's if we judge them based on the appearance, it's also possible that we make a mistake. The scriptures, also here in the Bodhicharya Vatara, therefore lay out certain qualities that we can examine in a guru. And so the guru must have essentially the training of the bodhisattvas, must have bodhicitta, therefore immeasurables. At least he must have these qualities, and that is what we mainly need to look at when we choose the guru. And so that's even more critical when it comes to Vajrayana practice. And so according to the Bodhicharya Vatara, these qualities mentioned in the Bodhicharya Vatara sort of are the basic qualification. So they are the basis, they are the bare minimum that he must possess. And on the basis of that, on top of that, in the Vajrayana, a Vajra master must also have a certainty and a stability and confidence in the meaning of the Vajrayana teachings. So it's important, and it's it's up to you. It's your job to examine whether or not the guru possesses these characteristics. So then once you examine the guru, the way you reflect is that you want to find someone because you need them for your own practice. You understand that Dharma practice and study is very important, so if you and because it's so important, it's so significant, you don't want to make a wrong choice in the very beginning. So because the Dharma practice is so important, it's very important that you are unmistaken in your choice when you choose that guru. And then once you have chosen your guru, then you have made up your mind. So then you must have faith and diligence in whatever the guru instructs you to do. So what happens if you choose wrongly is that you may have a lot of devotion in the beginning, but because you didn't think about it, you didn't think it through in the beginning, maybe they don't have all these qualities in the end. You will begin to see a lot of faults, and you will lose your faith and your devotion, and then break your samaya. And as a result of that, you will then face a lot of obstacles to your practice of virtue, to your Dharma practice. And so that's why it's really important to first examine that very carefully.
Page number 28. Hôn chom den gong po san je ba me tse chen jar se sam sen pa be co nyo mo ro la tu je ra gong la da so de chen shen den jen de so ngon je tu je tam ja che yen de tu da ma ye tu je wan ke la ling en ta ze kor wa don ro ne ta da ni den den ban ze de so te da don sho zhang bin ju ge re nan de tu le tu je wa ma tre da son ro ve nian ka tan be me da zin lo don che ba ran sa xie da mi chu ge kong ba mon je san sa don zi me zhi zhang ang de yang.
Hong, transcendent conqueror, protector, Buddha Amitabha, and noble assembly of loving bodhisattvas, compassionately look upon us afflicted beings and guide us to the pure land of Sukhavati. In accord with your past bodhicitta vows, not wavering from the sacred bond, deities with great compassion, please exhaust all negative karma and empty samsara from its depths. At this very moment, please act as our guide, as I, with intense devotion, have thus invoked the enlightened mind. Red light rays of compassion radiate from the heart of Amitabha and dissolve into the hearts of myself and all beings. Self-grasping, misconceptions, and delusion have collapsed in themselves. The state of selfless Dhammakaya is realized, and I rest in the nature of clarity and emptiness, free from grasping and elaboration.
Ân de da nam ba gong de le zong we sun nam ta ye tam ba kan to de ro wa dong a chu ro jin wa ya ba me be ne ra to ba shu.
By all the limitless and sacred merits obtained through this meditation and recitation, may all beings drowning in the river of suffering attain the supreme state of Amitabha.
Oi jan chu sen chu ren bo che ma che pa na je je che je ba nyam ba me ba ya gon ne gon de be wa yu.
Page 35. May bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, arise where it has not been, where it's arisen, may not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Dumba lame sanje rembo che choba lame damje rembo che demba lame gendu rembo che jamne goncho san la chuba karam kahe. Enjoy your lunch.